6.5, starting the second section. So much fun. So this is where we're actually getting into solving with roots. And we're going to use those properties of exponents that we learned last semester. Not last semester, I was kidding by that statement, but last chapter. So first, when I'm finding my solution, you want to first get your root all by itself. So I'm going to think, okay, this is a positive 3. Opposite of positive would be subtract 3. So I have my square root, 2x minus 3 is equal to 5. Opposite of squaring, or of square root, would be squaring something. I'm wondering, can you guys tell what my favorite color is? It's blue, in case if you didn't know. So 2x minus 3 would be equal to 25. Now I have to add the 3. 2x would be equal to 28. Divide by 2 would be 14. So x equals 14 is my answer. You should pause the video and try B by yourself. So first you want to add over your 5, and then you want to square it. So right here is where you square both sides. And then you have 4x minus 1, which is 25. 4x equals 26, and either 3/2 or 6.5. When you're taking the quiz, make sure you're reading directions carefully. So if it was asking for a fraction or a decimal. So what if I have something with a fraction exponent, like so? Well, in order to get rid of this fraction exponent, just like up here, you could think of 2x minus 3. So 2x minus 3, this is the same thing as 1/2 when you take the square root. And we raised it to the second power. That's what we did right here. These two things are the same. So if you look at this, it was the reciprocal. So if I'm going to solve with the reciprocal, first, I still need to get this by itself. So this is 3 times. The opposite of multiplying would be dividing. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So that'd be 4. And whatever this fraction exponent is, I want to take the reciprocal of it. So 3/2. And I'm going to have 3/2. Now, if you do this in your calculator, I could do 4, that is 4, raised to right here. And then because it's this box right here, or else you can put it in parentheses, 3/2. Over 2. Close the parentheses. If you don't get the little box, you have to have those parentheses there. And I get 8. So what I have left here is x plus 1 is equal to 8. So I can subtract the 1 over, subtract the 1 over, and get x equals 7. Now this is where you have to be careful though, in this spot right here. If for some reason you have, just like if we were solving this, let's do this. So if I have x squared is equal to 4, okay? And in the past, if we take the square root, we would have 2 answers. We have a positive -2. Now you have to think, if I do that same thing over here, will I have 2 answers? So how will you know? How will you know if you need 2 answers? Well, I raised this to the 1/2. When you're doing this problem right here, this fraction exponent, you want to look at the bottom of the fraction. If this bottom is a positive, you actually have 2 answers. You have a positive and a negative right here. So I'm actually going to have 2 answers right there. So I'm going to have x plus 1 equals 8, which we just solved, and x plus 1 equals -8. So I subtract the 1, x is equal to -9. I can check my work here on my graphing calculator. One way to do that is I'm going to store 7. So if I go to x, stow 7, oops, I have to do 7, 7, and then stow x. So I'm saying anytime I type in an x, I want that number to be 7. I'm going to type in this original equation, so 3, and then x plus 1 raised to the 2/3, and I should get 12 out. So now I'm going to check to see if -9 also works. I'm going to do -9, so -9, stow x, right here's my x, and now I'm just going to arrow up because I already have it typed in, and I already changed what my x value is, and I should still get 12. So both of those are answers. So both of these work. Boop. So I want you to pause the video and try the next one by yourself. So here, first thing I had to do was get rid of my 1. So I subtracted the 1, I get 24. This is 3 times, so I have to rewrite that or divide that out. I do 24 divided by 3, I get 8. I rewrote this fifth root so that it's going to be raised to 3/5. Remember, if it's a fifth root, that's the denominator. So when I did 5/3 right here, I look at the bottom of my denominator. It's odd. There is only one answer. There's only one answer to this problem because this bottom part here is odd. Okay? And then 8 raised to the 5/3 power is going to be 32. Subtract 1, and you should have gotten 34. Again, looking here is how you know if you're going to have one or two answers. Here, my denominator was odd. Here, my denominator was even. That's why I had 2 answers. Try the next one by yourself. Push pause. Try it by yourself. Unpause. Okay. First, divide by 2, I get 4. The reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. So again, right here, when I apply the 3/2 power on both sides, I have 2 answers. 4 raised to the 3/2 is going to give me 8. So I have positive -8. So this equation has to be set equal to positive 8 and to -8. Solve, I get 5 and -11. Okay, now it gets a little bit harder even yet. So it's very important that you check your solutions, especially when there's more than one x. When there's more than one x, you could have extraneous solutions, just like how we checked in the calculator with the stove. We're going to do that again. So how are we going to solve this? You still want to get your your root all by itself. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. Plus 5 plus 5. Square root x plus 7 is going to be equal to x plus 5. Same thing as before, I'm going to square this. Square, and I'm going to square. Now, do not just distribute because there's adding right here, because this is the same thing as x plus 5 times x plus 5. You're going to have to FOIL. So on the left-hand side of x plus 7 is equal to, if I FOIL this out, this becomes x squared plus 5x plus 5x plus 25. So you have x squared plus 10x plus 25. So when I solve this, I have to move everything over so that this is equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract the x. I'm going to subtract the 7. So if 0 is equal to x squared plus 9x plus 18. So I have to think what multiplies to get 18 and adds together to get 9 would be x plus 3, x plus 6. If I set both of these equal to 0, so x plus 3 equals 0, x plus 6 equals 0, I get x is equal to -3, x is equal to -6. You have to check. You have to check. So now I'm going to go back up to this again. Again, I'm going to check this first one, -3. So I'm going to go -3 stow x. I'm going to type in this exact same equation. So it's the square root, so second x squared gives me the square root. I'm going to type in x plus 7. Arrow over, and then minus 5. It is said that it's equal to x. So right now, x is equal to -3. So this should be equal to -3. That one checks out. So I'm going to put a star there. Yep, that one checks out. Now I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to stow my -6. So -6 stow x. And now I'm going to arrow up. Now this should also be equal to -6. This one's equal to -4. That one does not work. So my only answer would be x equals -3. That's my only answer here. -6 is extraneous, meaning yes, mathematically it is correct. However, when you plug it back into the original equation, because there's 2 different x's, it doesn't actually work. Pause the video and try to do this next one by yourself. Pause the video. So here, first thing I want to do is subtract over my 3. And I'm going to square both sides, just like it says here. I have to FOIL. So I have x squared, and then these two combine like terms. That's where this -6 comes from when I FOIL this out. Move everything over. I factor. So I have x minus 1, x minus 10. Set both of those equal to 0. So x minus 1 equals 0. Gives me x equals 1. X minus 10 equal to 0. X equals 10. You have to check. And if you're going to check, you're just going to have x equals 10. That's the only one that works. Okay, what if we have 2 radicals? Oh my gosh, can we do this? Yes, we can. I'm pretty sure that was like on a movie or something of little kids. First thing I want to do is get this root by itself, the larger root by itself. So I'm going to have the square root, 2x plus 1. I'm going to add over So I'm going to have the square root of x plus 1 because I'm going to add that over. So that's a positive. I want to get this by itself, so I'm going to square this side. And whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So this whole thing has to get squared. These two cancel each other out. I'm going to have 2x plus 1 is equal to, this becomes the square root of x plus 1 times the square root of x plus 1. You have to FOIL that. So square root x times square root x will just give me x. Square root x plus 1 gives me square root x. 1 times square root of x gives me the square root of x. 1 times 1 gives me 1. These two are like terms. So I have x plus 2 square root of x, because these two are together, plus 1. Now what I want to do is get just this term by itself. So I'm going to subtract this x over. I'm going to subtract this 1 over. So I'm left with just x. These two cancel. I'm just left with 2 square root x. That's what I'm left with. I'm going to square on this side to get rid of that. So whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So on this side, I'm going to have x squared. On this side, it goes to the x, and it goes to this 2. Do not be greedy. Give it to everyone. So I have 4x. Now I want to set this equal to 0, so I have x squared minus 4x is equal to 0. Factor out the x. So if x minus 4 is equal to 0, solve for x. Oh my gosh, this is so long. X minus 4. So I have two answers. X equals 0. I would add this 4 over, and I would get 4. You have to check. So looking at this again, first I'm going to stow the 0. So I'm going to do 0, 0, stow, x. Okay, that's blurry. Sorry for that. Now I'm going to type in this equation right here. So second, x squared to get the square root, and then 2x plus 1. Whoa, Ms. Frickman. 2x plus 1. I have to arrow over minus the square root of x. So again, no matter what, this should be equal to 1. We stowed 0. 1. That one's good. Now I'm going to stow. My other answer is 4. So I'm going to go 4. Stow. X. Instead of typing it back in, go highlight it, push enter, and I get 1. That one also works. They don't always work. So I'm going to have x equals 0 and 4. Both of them are answers. Well, did you already see the answer up here? Pause. Try this next one by yourself. Try it. It's good for you. Here, add over the x squared first. I'm going to add over the x, or the square root of x first. And then you have to square both sides. So squaring this gives me just the 5x plus 4. I actually drew that over. When I square this, remember you have to FOIL it out. First, outside, inside, last. Square root of x times square root of x is just x. Combine your like terms. So this becomes 8. So there's 4 here, 4 here. That's a total of 8. I move over my 16. I move over this one x, leaving me with 4x minus 12. Unlike over here, it was pretty easy because we just had to do the x. But now when I squared this side, I have to FOIL this side out as well. So I have 4x minus 12 times 4x minus 12. So first, outside, inside, last. Okay, when I do this, so you have to give it to the 8 and the square root of x. So I have 64x. So move this over, or 48x and 48x give you negative 96. Subtract the 64x, and now you have to factor. So 16 is in each one of these, so I can take out the 16. Up there was supposed to be an x here. So x squared minus 10x minus 9. So I can factor that to x minus 9, x minus 1. When I answer these, so I get a positive 9 and a positive 1. You have to check it. If I were to check it just with the stow button, the only answer I get is x equals 9. Wow. This was hard, Mrs. Frickman. I don't understand it. You have to just try to do your best. With all of these things, try to think back to your simple arithmetic. What is the opposite? When you're solving equations, even though it looks more complex, your first question is always, what's the opposite? How do I get rid of a root? Square it. That's basically it. You have a great day today.